Hi everyone. Just gonna wait about a minute to see if anybody is joining us today for our November journal class. There's lots of competition today for watching videos as Tim Holtz is on with his Christmas palooza of ideas. So we'll just give it a minute. Hey Jennifer. Have to admit I have Tim Hoopla on. I guess I was just saying that I cannot compete with him. There's no doubt about it. And nor do I want to. I'll be watching him myself after I'm done to catch up. So many great ideas. But today's our November journal class, which I can't believe in one more month we will have completed a year of art journaling, and that is amazing. So today I have to say I'm a little bit low on mojo as far as ideas, so it may end up being very simple, which is okay, because I find that I'm putting a lot on my pages and I want to try to get used to having a little bit more white space. So I'm gonna go forward, and if you're preoccupied with something else, no problem at all. It will be saved. So here is our color palette for today. And I pulled some things from my ephemera book right here that I'm going to be using. And these are, I do have a stencil. This one here is Stamperia, or sorry, Prima Finnabar. And it is called, it's a 6x9 stencil. And I don't know if there's a name on it. I don't see a name on it. But it's just, oh no, Ghostwriter. There it is right there. So that's a nice one. It's just a bunch of words. So I'm going to be using that. And then these are our prints. And this is definitely my color palette. It is kind of very home for me. And I love the muted tones and the earth tones. So I already did my journaling and gessoed it. And before we get started though, let's take a look through our book from the beginning. So this was January. That was fun. February, and you can see what I mean about not having a lot of white space. But you know, sometimes it looks good, sometimes I'm not crazy about it, but it is what it is. March. This was April. That was fun. There's parts of them all that I really like. May. We have June. July. August. September. And October. And I just put a piece of parchment paper in between because of all the mediums. The pages will stick together if you don't do that. And now we're working on November. So today, I think I'm going to concentrate on rectangles. And I'm also going to show you the cards that I have from our Come Color With Me series. We did memory depths, but then, as I said, we can convert them into cards. So these are just a few of the samples. So this is the All in Create, the one with the trees and the little girl. I hope you can see the sparkle. The background here are foiled sheets that I had already had done and was just sitting in my stash. So I cut them up for these cards, and I put glossy accents on the candy, on her eyes, and on some of the baubles. So in person, you can certainly see and feel the texture. I don't know if it's going to kind of catch it on camera, but they're really cute. So that one was the dots. This one is the stripes. I had some stars, and they're all done in gold foil. Some more stripes. And then these ones, it's a little bit different than Christmas. I needed some sympathy cards. So I created these ones using the 49th and Market butterfly with some of the 49th and Market fabric tape. And I used paint on these. I think I'm going to try to do something similar using the Christmas one. So stay tuned for that. So those are a couple of those ones. I saved a number of them for myself because, you know, we all need sympathy cards. And then these ones I'm absolutely loving. So these were the Elizabeth Craft Snow Globe. And I also used Gina K Village Die. And then these were little Prima embellishments. And the paper is Elizabeth Craft, so I did envelopes out of Elizabeth Craft. And then I did the card fronts and then the snow globe, and I made these little scenes. I am in love with them. So there's this scene, there's 3 different scenes. There's this one, there's this one with the church, and I used a combination of like iridescent foiled cardstock and then plain white, and then this is the Spellbinders glitter kind of foamy cardstock, and then this is the last scene. So absolutely love how these ones turned out. So Elizabeth Craft for the win there, and I think I'll be using this die in the new year to create some masculine cards with the deer and stuff in it. So that's a little bit of show and tell of what I've been up to. So let's get on with this fantastic layout here. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stenciling down, and then I'll move my book to the side as we're going to cut up our sheets. I do feel that I'm going to like this very much. And I do have a pan of water beside me today, so I don't have to get up and run to the sink. So I'm just going to do some stenciling. And my little trick, I can't say it enough, it's great to preserve your mediums, is if you put saran wrap and you push the saran wrap right down until it touches the surface of whatever it is you have in your jar, and then add a damp baby wipe and put your cover on, and it will not dry out. Now I'm not saying if you leave it for a year it won't be dry, but you know, they definitely don't dry out in between month to month. So I'm just going to put some modeling paste down using the stencil. And you can tape your stencils down if you want, but I'm just going to be doing this swiftly. Oh, I'm coming to the end of my jar. Nothing is more satisfying to me than emptying a jar of medium. Oh, that's kind of nice. I just want a little bit of dimension, so I'm going to do both sides. And it's not like the full thing, it's just like bits and pieces. Now I always put a piece of just copy paper in between the pages, so if I do run over the sides, it's not going to glue my pages together like I'm doing here. I know I'm running over the side. And if you do have stuff to return to your bottle, try to get it down right into the bottom and not just on the side, because it will dry up on the side. I'm going to push that down, pop my palette knife in the water, close this jar and then put my stencil in the water. When you're using modeling paste, you definitely want to get your stencil in water right away. You know, it doesn't matter if it sits in the water. Mine sit there until my class is done. But you don't want to leave it dry. If you leave it dry, then when you scrub it off, a lot of times it will destroy your little fine bits of your stencil. It's not going to end the world, that's for sure. You don't want to ruin anything if you don't have to. So I have my setup a little bit different today. Camera's still overhead, as you see. I did make the purchase of a white glass mat because I found my dark one. It was really hard to see on video, especially if what I was using was dark. So I'm just going to move this out of the way until I need it back. But hopefully it will give it time to dry. And I'm going to take my little trimmer because I want to cut rectangles and squares. So that's kind of the paper shape I'm going to focus on today. So I did think about it a little bit. So I'm just going to cut my ends off, and they're not going to be the same, so I'm not measuring. I just want a variety of squares and rectangles. And I'm just cutting off the white space that's here. Today in Nova Scotia, the weather, well, it was raining earlier, but it's kind of gloomy, but warm. It's not really cold. We had the best weather for Halloween. Anybody with children that had kids going out would have had a fantastic evening. So I'm just cutting all kinds of different shapes of squares and rectangles. And these were the jelly prints. So at the beginning of each quarter, we did gel prints for 3 months at a time. And so this is, I'll do some 3x3s. This is the colors that we picked out, or I picked out for November. And I'm really liking them. They're really nice and soft colors. And we won't be using all of these squares, I don't think. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I have to learn how to embrace white space. I'm not very good at that. I'm just focusing on the pages that have a lot of color on it for now. And then we'll put some of the other ones down. Are you liking what you're seeing, Jennifer, and over on the Tim Holtz Hoopla? I watched just a little bit of it because he was on for an hour before this class, so I didn't watch a lot, but I'll watch him when I'm done. There's just, I find this time of the year, there's just not enough time to craft all the different kind of Christmas cards I want to do. There really isn't. And I find myself, because my cutoff point for Christmas cards is December 1st. That's when mine go in the mail. If I'm going to go through the trouble of making Christmas cards, I want people to have them for as much of the month as possible so that they can enjoy them. Then from these ones, which ones do I like? I kind of like them all, but I definitely like this one, and I will leave some of that white on. I really like this part right here. And we might decide to cut those down a little bit more when we align them on our pages. So if you're just joining, welcome. And we are just cutting out some of the papers that we had. And these ones we're using alcohol ink on our gel press, which is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of using alcohol inks on the gel press. They clean up so nice and easy. So my shape of these pages is squares and rectangles. So that's why I'm cutting these up. And I like some of this dark. Now I see that there's 3 of yous on so far, so I'm just curious if you can tell me if you do art journaling, if this is something that interests you or you're just here checking it out. I'd like to know that, because then I can catch you up as to what we've been doing. Last January I committed to doing art journaling every month, so that at the end of the year we would have a year of art journaling. So I can't believe we are on our second last month. And it will be a year. These ones I'm going to just leave to the side for now. And if I decide I need more, I can pull from those. Recognizing my cover wasn't on good. So I am going to plug in my heat tool, because I know the modeling paste isn't quite dry yet, so I do need to speed that up a little bit. And really, whatever medium you have for your journaling, you can use that. It doesn't have to be what I'm using. It can be whatever you happen to have for supplies. That's the beauty with art journaling. Anything goes, and there's no wrong to it. So I'm just going to put these aside. Now this is the heat tool, so it's not an embossing tool, and there is a difference when you're heating stuff to dry it. This is, it still gets pretty hot, but it's not as hot, and it doesn't get really, really hot the longer you leave it on, whereas an embossing gun gets very hot. And the only difference is if you use it to dry things, it doesn't crack it as much, and you can kind of gauge it a little bit better. So if you are new to art journaling, the whole purpose of journaling, or the art journal part of it, is you're able to write everything that happened in the last month in your journal. And because this is art and other people may be looking at it beside me, I really don't want them reading my thoughts. I get them out, and that's very therapeutic in its own. But then I gesso over them, and I use a thick gesso. If it was a regular gesso, I might do a couple of coats, but I don't cover it all. Like, you can still see some writing in the background, but no one will be able to read it to make sense out of it. So I feel like my privacy is still intact that way, even if someone is picking this journal up to look at the art. And I had a chance to get everything out and put it down on paper. So that's kind of how I start each page. Now, modeling paste does not take a long time to dry, so I'm just kind of giving it a head start. And I think we'll leave it as that. So then the next step is I'm going to glue down my pieces, my triangles. And what I use, it's a matte gel. It can come in all different jar sizes. I do recommend that you get smaller jars than this, just so that you don't have to pressure yourself to use it and it doesn't dry out. Now, I've had this one on the go for at least the last year, and it's not drying out because I'm doing the cellophane with the baby wipe. And the reason why I like using matte is I'm not a particular lover of shine. So if you're someone that likes a lot of shine, you may want to choose a different glue to stick your paper down. And the other part of it is I cover the top of the paper as well. And what that does is it protects the paper from whatever other mediums we put down, so it won't change the color of the, make the inks that I used on the paper run. A little bit down. So it's a glue. That's all it is. You could certainly try whatever glue, liquid glue you have. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with anything. You might just get a different outcome than what I get, which is fine. What's everyone up to today? You're quiet. And it's okay if you go over your modeling paste if you're choosing to use it. It will actually, if you can get it to glue down really tight to the modeling paste, it will create a bit of a ridge, so that when we do our, what I call the finicky or the outlining work, you'll get that in there. And no rhyme and reason, I'm just going to keep building until I feel like there's enough out of the different colors I have here. And I really do enjoy these colors. So a little something to be aware of in my next coming videos for the rest of this month. I think I have, I don't know how many I have scheduled, maybe 4 or 5, but in at least 3 of them I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I have some stamps here, stamp sets that have never been opened, and I thought how nice would it be to pass them on to somebody else, and perhaps they can use them. So that's what I'll be doing starting Come Color With Me, which is Monday night. So get the word out there, and I'll put a post up as well so people don't miss out in case they're not watching this one. But yeah, I'm going to do some giveaways, and it'll just be a random draw from anybody who puts a comment on during the live video. And we'll see how it goes. I need some of this dark one over here and get a real intense one. But our journal is fun. It's just really allows you to be free without stressing too much about it. So I'm going to take my thing right out and put it down here. I'll put a fresh piece just because I'm getting it all over myself. You're quiet because you're over watching. You're probably got me on mute. And you're watching Tim. Oh, I can't forget about these ones. That Tim. I love his products. I've been a fan from day one. And I still have a lot of the original ink pads and they work fine. And I've used those a lot, which is absolutely amazing. That one I think is a little bit too big. So when I'm all done layering, which I'm soon going to be done because I'm promising myself that I'm going to embrace the white space. Just going to get my scissors and cut this one in two. It's a little bit too big. And I won't throw away these bits and pieces. I might find myself needing something of that nature to die cut from. So I keep a little pile. I don't keep all my scraps, but I keep a little pile, especially of the ones that I really like, and have them on the ready in case I need a little piece of something to make a die cut from. Or it can be to put as a background. Now I am going to build some layers, and the whole point of that is when I start doing some tracing, just to add a little bit more color down, then I'll have some nice ridges. So even though I'm not going to move into this area with these colors, I'm going to start building on top. And it just helps give it some depth. May not cover the whole thing, but that's okay. Yeah, when I was thinking about, well, what are we going to do today? I started thinking a lot about different things, and sometimes I keep you folks, my videos are too long sometimes, and because I try too many things. But today I'm going to keep it more simple. I'm going to do more layering, and I'm going to leave more white space. How's the store coming? I'm going to have to ask Heather to do another store tour soon, because I can't wait to see how the classroom is sprucing up and how everything else is sprucing up. There was still quite a bit of boxes to get unpacked when I was there, and you know, the classroom was still pretty rough because they were working on the main area. So I can't wait to see how far they've come. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. So if you're just joining, welcome. I'm just building my pages for November's art journal. Making some different layers for depth, so that when it all dries, it will create these ridges, so that when I go in with, I'm going to use my Derwent pencils. They're like a watercolor pencil. Sometimes I use Tim Holtz crayons, regular coloring pencils, but this time I'm going to use the Derwent ones, which are very highly pigmented, and to do some tracing. So when I say tracing, I just find those little ridges and I choose colors that match the color palette, and then I just build like color in shadows. So like I might even color in here and draw out the colors in this pattern a little bit. But for that will happen offline today because this has to completely dry in order for that to happen. I have done it before live, just to kind of show you what my process is. And I always will post a picture of the finished pages once I'm done. But I'll just kind of show you where I'm going with it. All the past art journal classes are taped and saved on Facebook. They'll stay there for as long as Facebook allows them to stay there. So if you want to go back and look and see what we've done in past months, they are there, including the gel print classes in which we got all our prints from. So I'm just building layers. That's all I'm doing, with the intent to leave some white space. So that's why I'm not kind of going in around the sides. We laid down a stencil and used modeling paste first. I think I need a little bit of this light color. And the shapes, I'm sticking with triangles and squares. So maybe I'll cut this one in two. Don't want to cover that one. Maybe over here. And the more paste and more glue you put down, the little bit longer it takes to dry, but all this stuff dries pretty good, and it is best to leave your glued pieces dry naturally. What do you think so far? I'm liking it so far. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Now I'm going to pull in a little bit more of that blue as the top layer. I'm just going to go right over this part, maybe extend it a little bit. So Olos are in, happy, 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 waiting for my shipment to arrive. Can't wait to have the full color palette, and yes, I did a big purchase and got them all because that's just kind of how I roll. I want all the colors in front of me. Do you need them all? No, but I like having options. And that's what I'm giving myself, is some option choices. I'm just looking to see if I want maybe a little bit of this white up top, and then that's going to be it for laying down these pieces. Do I want this kind of pale or this one? Maybe this one over here. And I think I'm good over here. I think I'm going to leave that as is. I can always come back after and add more. That's not a problem. You can't take it away though. So that's the only kind of rule with art journaling or any kind of mixed media work, is go gently, and you can always add more, but you can't take it away. I'm just getting the glue down off the side of my bottle so that when I put the cellophane, and I'm going to put this in my bucket of water that I have right here. So this is kind of the layout right now. I can try to see how well it will dry because we still have loads of time left. I'm trying to keep the videos to an hour so I don't totally bore you to death. I'm just going to put those there. So these are my bits that I have this, what's called an embellishment book, and I did show that in a video, so that's online too. And I try to save all my videos under Sherry, so they're easy to find. And my embellishment book, it's a big, thick, it's kind of an art journal, but it's black. And it's all these embellishments from, like, these ones are 49 a Market. There's some Tim Holtz ones in here. There's some Prima Marketing in here. It's just bits and pieces of ephemera that I've opened the packages to do a project. And then once the packages are open, I put them in this book. And when I want to do something like this, I just go to my book and I pull out things that I want to use in the project. And I try not to pop too much up on the journal pages because the book is kind of closed and pushed together. So my idea, after I do my highlighting, and anybody who's been with me for a while knows I work in threes, the rule of threes, or odd numbers, so it could be 5, it could be 7, but I try to stay away from even numbers, because then even numbers, it looks like it's an error if they're not put intentionally. So like, I think I will put flowers down like this. I do have some frames which I will frame in an entire clump of papers, like I'm framing a picture. So I have 3 of those. And actually this one is kind of this, it's the same as that one. This one's more square. And there's not going to be any pictures in there. It's just going to be the paper. And I'm really liking how this is turning out. And I'm just letting you know kind of what I'm thinking. And then I have these tickets that I'll have kind of scattered. I might chop one of them in 2 just to make more. And my rule for my embellishment book is if I take it out, I have to use it because nothing's going back in the book. I really challenge myself to use what I have. Like that one, definitely I'm gonna rip off because I like that blue and I don't have a lot of that blue. So maybe some of it there. I'm going to be picking all these pieces back up again, but I just want to give you an idea. I have one of this dark red, so maybe that one can get tucked in up here with this. And I have my little tiny attacher, so I might staple some of these things together before I lay it down. And I try to put a title or something on my page, and this one says live your dream, so that will go down somewheres where it's very visible. And then this piece can be cut up into a bunch. It was just that red, so what I did is I took my color palette and I went through my embellishment book and I tried to pick out colors that were similar to my color palette. So I'll pull out some of these things. I might take this grouping of those pictures and put them somewhere in a frame. And then I have this tag. So lots of nice stuff to put down. But I'm going to now peel this up, and they may not end up back where I'm showing you that they are. But I just wanted to make sure that you had a visual of where I was going. And let's dry this, or see how well I can dry it, and then maybe I can start doing a little bit of the detail work, just to kind of show you again where my thought process is. But you know, I love this color palette so much, I'd be happy with the book just like that. But we're gonna, I liked these things on it too. And I was looking through my embellishment book, and I have a lot of Tim Holtz products in there, like from different collections that he has. So after Christmas, one of the things we may do is I may just tell you to dig out embellishments, like all your embellishment packages, and maybe we'll just have a day where we make, they're called, some lines actually have them now. They're almost like layered embellishments. So we'll layer a bunch, clusters, and then have them at the ready for whenever we're doing a page or a card, in order to get some of them used up. Because that's why I put that book together, was so that I would be mindful to look in there, and they're right out where I can see everything, so I can be able to use them. Yeah, I'm loving the colors. I originally thought I tried to do like something around Remembrance Day for November, but today that required just too much thinking on my part on hand cutting and drawing copies and things, so I aborted that. But sometimes simple is very attractive to me. And simple's not boring. Like, we're still doing lots of mixed media here and lots of layering. I just need it dry enough so that when I rub my pencils over and then add water, it's not going to kill my paper. So let's try that. Give it a good heat. It's feeling toasty. And I'm going to show you what the Derwent pencils look like. I know I've showed you this before. And I've had these in my stash forever. Now, these are not cheap products. Derwent is known for their high pigment, and they are artist style pencils, but they are water soluble. So you can lay the color down and then touch it with a little bit of water, and you'll see how brilliant they get. So I've had these for a long time, and pull them out every now and again, but I do like them. And I'm just going to put them to my side here. I have to be careful, don't I, so that you guys can see. I'm going to move some stuff away from the side of me here so that I can lay them out and not have to worry about them. So let me grab, oh, I have it right here. So this is just a water pen, but I use very little water. In fact, I'm more likely to drip some water to the side of me and pick the water up with my pen when I need it than to squirt it, because then you kind of lose control over how much you have. So I want to stick with these colors, and I'm just looking through my palette. Like, that's a very dark burgundy one there. It's hard to see. And I think I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper. Maybe I'll use the back end of one of these first, just to make sure it is the color I want. So like, that's all I put down for pigment, that little dot. And you can see how much color I'm pulling from that. So like, there's a lot of color in these pencils, and I do like that. That looks like it's that cranberry one on our color palette. So that's what I'll use for this one. And I'm just very lightly tracing, and I can feel the ridge with my pencil because I've layered a couple of items on top of each other, and then I'm just going to trace them out with the water. And if you have too much water, I have my trusty paper towel, and I just brush my pen over the, or my brush over that paper towel. And I do it in stages, so I'll let that dry before I add more to that area. It's like watercoloring, right? If you're doing anything with watercolors, you have to make sure that you're allowing drying time in between your layers. So I'm just taking this pencil to those burgundy pieces. I got too much water on there. Now if you want it like just the freedom of spraying and letting your water chase the water spray, you could certainly do that too. I'm taking a little bit of a controlled approach. And I use my fingers as tools. Like I can blend it. I want that color to blend on top of my paper. And this is when I put on a movie and I just sit here and build until I feel like it's right. And it's all towards personal preference. So I don't know if you guys can see how nice and vibrant those colors are. You can do the same thing if you have water pencils or Tombows or regular pencils. Sometimes I'll just pull out my regular cheapo coloring pencils and I'll do blending. And sometimes I do it in combination with the Derwent. And I'm okay with that color kind of blending in there. I'm just picking up some of that water. And sometimes I take my paper towel right to my page as well. And that paper towel, I don't throw it away. I just let it dry on the roll. And it still absorbs next time I come around to using it. Do all kinds of fun things. And it looks very like, what difference is this making right now? But it really is. I got to plug in my computer. I see that it's telling me that it needs to be plugged in. Oh. Hi, I'm still here. My computer was not plugged in. So I apologize for the little blip, but it looks like it's still recording. So I'm going to continue on. Are you guys good? I think we're still recording. It's not ended. So I'm going to continue on. I apologize for that. So I'm going to pull another color. And I want to do some of this blue before it goes away. So that's like a really dark tealy color. And some of the Derwents, they have names. Deep Indigo. I'm just going to see what that looks like. Oh, got to wash my pen off. Deep Indigo. Is that too purpley? No, but it's really, really blue. It's not teal. So I'm going to see if I have another match. That's gray. I don't know if I have any teal ones. Sea blue. No, that's really too blue. I might have to go with the indigo. This one says bright blue. Nope, definitely not. I think I'm going to have to go with the indigo. This is probably the best I'm going to get. So I'm just tracing along the ridge of the paper. And the paper's still a little damp. I can feel it kind of bending. And you have to remember our gel print paper is just copy paper. So I gotta make sure that I do leave it dry before adding too much. So we'll do a couple of layers of color and then I'm going to sign off and let it dry. And I will finish. And I'll probably even pull out regular coloring pencils. And you can pull out your Tim Holtz ones in order to get like really in close. And if there's patches like this that I don't like, I'll just take a little bit of gesso and tap it over it. I have lots of choices for brown. I find they don't give you many choices of blues in a pack. And like I said, I've had these for a very, very long time. And I don't use them enough to talk myself into buying more of them. I have enough variety with what I have. It's not the same as the Olos. The Olos, I'm so enjoying coloring with those that I just want all the options that are available. You guys are a quiet bunch today. I hope nothing screwed up with the video from the computer glitch. It's still saying being recorded. And now a brown. Wipe off my pencil. I've got a little water down there, so I'll dab that up. And brown. Baked earth. That sounds yummy. So this is what I mean by I might even go in here and trace these. This was from a stencil that we used on our gel plate. So like where there's a shape, I can go in there and really do some nice shading. It looks like no colors in there, but you just wait. And I might do a different couple of layers of brown. I hope you can see how much of a difference that makes. On my computer, it's kind of, oh, there. It's a bit better. It's the way I had it bent, but I hope you can see it well. And that part's wet, so I'm going to go up here, because you don't want to go wet on wet. You want to give it a minute to dry. I'm just doing a little bit more shading. Just bringing out that brown earth tone color. And I have, like I said, I have several options of brown, so I'll bring out some other ones to blend in here. Just kind of going with the flow of whatever was on there before as lines. I'm going to give that a little shot of heat, just so I can add a little bit more brown down there. I'm going to put that brown away and pull out. Well, this one says willow, but let me have a look. Nope, that's kind of a brown, but I want a richer, darker brown. Bark. Yeah, I think that'll be nice and dark. That almost looks black though. That will be good in here on these little edges. It's called bark, but it's very dark. That's what I love with the Tim Holtz crayons. They're water pencils. I call them crayons, but it's actually his pencils. They're true to the color, and I know his ink so well that I don't have to test it. I know what color I'm going to get when I hit it with water. Unlike the Derwents, I don't work with them enough to really memorize their color, and because they're so highly pigmented, you can't really see the true color until you hit it with water. Now this is going to be a good example of what shading can do. It just, when you have dark areas like this, it just draws the eye into, it makes it look like it's dimensional. And I know this seems like such a little difference, but when you're done with your whole page of doing this kind of work to it, it becomes very evident of the dimension that you're adding. Trying to make sure I'm capturing it good. I'm going to put some up here. Oh, it's that dark. It's calling itself bark. So my next class is Monday night. It's Come Color With Me, and I will be using Olos and All in Create Christmas stamp, and I will post probably today or tomorrow which ones I'll use. I'm thinking it's going to be the little TV, and I'm thinking we're going to do a shaker panel. That's what my thoughts are. If I can get myself pulled together to do some prepping tomorrow, then that's what we'll definitely do. If it's anything different, I'll let you know. Time goes back tonight. Fall back. So we gain an hour's sleep. I'm looking forward to that. I never really adjusted well from when the time went forward. I am someone that gets affected by that, and the older I get, I seem like I'm more and more affected. So I'm just putting in some shading, and I'm going to stick with the black or the bark until I'm kind of done with it. So I'm just going from parts to parts, letting things dry in between. And I think I'm going to end it there for us today. I apologize for the little blip. That's what I get for not making sure my computer's plugged in. But it's charging up now. I will make sure the sun's starting to really come in through my window, so it's casting lots of shade anyway. So right now is a good time to end. And what I'll do is I'll post a finished picture of it with all my embellishments on. Okay guys, enjoy watching Tim. I'm probably going to go on and watch him as well while I finish coloring. Chat with you soon and have a terrific day.